Hey, this is John Jorgenson, and 2022 has been another crazy year with its fair share of ups and downs. But today we're going to have some fun and look back at some of the best moments from the past year on the Go With John show. Episode 40, Bill Orens. Our first clip is from Bill Orens, a project manager at Stanley Martin Custom Homes. Take a listen and you will hear the personal care and high level of attention to detail the project managers have at Stanley Martin Custom Homes. You just genuinely enjoy working with the homeowner and making their dream become a reality.
Yeah, for me, this has always been a dream job. I can't believe I get paid to do this.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I love construction.
Yeah.
And people always say, well, why don't you just work your way up the ladder or go, I've had offers for being building inspectors from the counties. Right. And I said, no, I really like what I do now.
Yep.
And I always have, and I'll do it as long as I possibly can.
Yes,
Confucius, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, Confucius said, "Find something you love to do, and you never work another day in your life."
Well, that's correct. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely love it, and I think it shows. I think it shows in the work, and it shows with the homeowners. Mm-hmm. I really like this new aspect now going to customs,
right,
is having that interaction with the homeowners.
Right.
And it is kind of sad toward the end where you don't get to see them every week. I've had homeowners cry when we, say farewell at the end of the project. It's kind of hard to cut those apron strings sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think one of the best compliments I had from one of the homeowners when we finished it, we were looking out the window and said, well, this is it. We're done. No more weekly meetings, nothing else. He says, Bill, I wish I could hit the lottery. We could build another one right across the street. I said, I'd really like that. When you hit it, let me know. Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome.
But I have built multiple homes for customers, our customers.
Right.
So it is fun.
It is amazing how many people do build a home with us, and then they come back a few years later and build another one.
Oh, yeah.
It is amazing. There's a lot of repeat business in our company.
It is.
Yeah.
It's because it's so efficient and it works so well.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So what are some of the your favorite things to do in the project? I know you enjoy the weekly meetings with the customers, but what else is there that kind of like what gets you out of bed every day? What are you excited about when you are coming into the office? Give us some examples.
Well, I really like just to make sure one of the subcontractors shows up and does what they're going to do for the day to make sure it's done correctly. Mm-hmm. But when it's interacting with the homeowners, I just love teaching them.
Right.
I love teaching them and showing them how the system works, how the foundation drain tile system works.
Yeah.
What we're looking for is on the framing and how all the components of the house come together and it all makes sense.
Right.
And the homeowners just love it. I'll teach you as much as you want to know about the house.
Right.
But yeah, I just love it.
Episode 41, Patrick Bain. The next clip is from Patrick Bain, President of Property Services Group at Long & Foster. This clip highlights something we've also heard from other highly successful guests and great advice to anyone who wants to shoot for the top. What advice would you have, or what things have you learned along the way? So you're clearly a very successful guy. What got you here, do you think?
I characterize it like this. I never think I'm the smartest guy in the room, but I'm pretty sure nobody's willing to outwork me. Mm-hmm. So I just get after it and prioritize and make sure I surround myself with, great people, great leaders. Mm-hmm. And, when I look at the people that surround me outside of my team, it's our leadership team and our senior leadership team. Our CEO, Jeff Detweiler, is incredibly supportive, mm-hmm. a great friend, mm-hmm. And also a great boss. And mm-hmm. he pushes on the things that are important and keeps us all focused on the prize. And the prize is maintaining our position in the market and supporting our agents every day in the best way that we know how, and mm-hmm. our management team across every business that we're in it's humbling at times, but it's also, I'm proud every day to come to work. And I've been afforded many of the great opportunities here to be involved in building Long & Foster and continuing to build Long & Foster companies into the player that it is in the market.
Episode 44, Jerry Berry. Now for something completely different. This is Jerry Berry, Executive Vice President of First Heritage Mortgage, telling his horse story, which could also be a horror story from his days of living on the farm with his family. Jerry's been on the show a few times, and we love hearing his stories as well as his advice on construction loans. The real reason you're here today.
I know. My mom's going to hate me.
Yeah, we got to talk about the horse story.
Yeah, I have a horse story for you, John.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
We're talking about a horse, not a horror.
A horse. It's a horse. It's a horse. So I've been on the show before, and you know that I grew up in the Midwest, a little town outside of Springfield, Missouri, a little dairy community. And so we had a gentleman farm. We always had a couple of pigs. We had a cow. We always had a couple of calves on the cow. And we also had a couple of horses that we didn't really ride a lot.
Yeah.
So our hog, her name was Sally at the time, she on occasion would get out and she'd get in the horse pasture, right? Mm-hmm. So my dad was at the bowling alley, Mom was home, and Sally got out and she was running around the pasture, and the horses were chasing the pig. And the horses could trample a pig. They probably wouldn't, but they could, right? And they could kill a pig, but they probably wouldn't.
Right.
So Mom calls Dad, and Dad says, well, go get the pig and put it back away. I'll fix the fence tomorrow. So Mom goes out and walks out there a quarter of a mile, right, gets the pig, puts the pig back in the pen, goes back in the house. 30 minutes later, the pig's back out. So Mom calls Carl Jean, said, Carl Jean, that damn pig's out again. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
And he says, well, go get the pig back in and put a piece of wood there. I'm not going to do that. You come home. I can't come home. I'm running the bowling alley. What am I going to do? He says, well, go get the shotgun. All right. And it's got bird shot in it. Shoot that horse in the butt, because Mom grew up on a farm. Shoot that horse in the butt. He'll run up and he won't come back down the rest of the day, and the pig will be fine. You can let the pig roam around.
Right.
So Mom, all we had was a big old double barrel break action shotgun, right? I mean, it was my grandpa's grandpa. The thing was old as Methuselah, and it wasn't fun to shoot, and it didn't have a pad, and it hurt. Oh. So Mom says, well, I'm not going to shoot that horse with the shotgun. I'm going to use .22.
No.
Okay. So she gets our little .22 out, and she shoots that horse.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's my sister's horse. She's about the only one that could ride the thing. The thing was mean. His name was Rebel, and he was mean. So she shoots that horse. She calls Carl Jean. She says, Carl Jean shot the horse. About that time, Janice came home, and she's all up in arms. Mom shot the horse, and she's calling the vet. So the vet came out, and you could feel the bullet. Mom just barely hit the horse. The bullet was down his belly button, basically, and you could feel the bullet there. And the vet said, that's not gonna hurt anything, but I'll give the horse a shot. So the doc gives the horse a shot and gives him like 20 cc's of streptomycin. The horse has a heart attack and dies.
Oh.
We get up the next morning. The horse is laying over, dead. Had a heart. It wasn't the bullet. The bullet, you could feel it. You could see the bullet. But the veterinarian didn't quite know what to give the horse. So we always give my mother a hard time that she shot a horse and killed it.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
So it is a horror story.
It's a horse story. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! What year was that? That was a long time ago.
I'm going to go with 72.
Yeah.
72,
that's
73.
Been a little while.
72, 73.
Yeah, and that story has survived all these decades.
Mom finds out I told that story. She'll be mad at me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell her.
I'm not going to tell her. She'll have to find it. She's probably not listening to this anyway.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, just don't let Mom hang around your horses.
Yeah, no problem.
We give her a hard time.
Episode 46, Ray Greenstreet. One thing about the Go With John show is we have a great variety of guests on the show. Everything from real estate to gardening and everything in between. This is Ray Greenstreet, owner of Greenstreet Growers and Greenstreet Gardens. Not only was he a great guest that has vast knowledge of gardening and running a successful nursery, Greenstreet Gardens was also one of our first sponsors of the Go With John show. We truly appreciate Ray and his team for believing in the show, and here's a clip from his episode. So talk a little bit, I know one of the things that you're passionate about is gardening and health. So what do you say to folks? Because we live in such a busy world right now where a lot of folks outsource their gardening to a neighborhood kid or to a landscaping company. How important do you think it is for folks to get out and spend a little time outside in the yard? And
it's great. It's great exercise. I'm trying to lose weight right now. I put my COVID weight on, and my wife's got me on a diet. But getting out and just touching the earth, and we have a farm near us that she's doing a lot of the detox work with people with what they eat and farm to table and all those types of things. But really, just getting your hands dirty. And a lot of people say, "Oh, it's so much work." Don't take on too much.
Right.
A small raised bed in your backyard will produce, put a couple tomato plants and some squash, and it'll produce a lot.
Episode 48, Chris, Brian, and Christopher Gebford. This episode was a lot of fun. Christopher Gebford and his two sons, Chris and Brian, from Promo Inc. and Superior Sprinkler Systems, not only came in to talk about the family lawn mowing company, but also what it's like to work with family. I asked them, what is it like to work with their dad? And their dad's response is priceless. So what kind of lessons have you learned from your dad?
This ought to be interesting. You need to put both of them on the spot.
I'm coming back over to Brian in a second. Yeah, Christopher's he's got to get some mic time here.
Yeah, I've learned. I guess one of the words that come to mind, I think, is like patience.
Yeah,
having patience
with your dad, or
I
having
think
patience
just overall.
Yeah.
Overall. And that could kind of tie into, how you react to something, whether it's business or in life, if maybe it doesn't go as planned.
Right.
Maybe eliminating the time. If something you do, it doesn't go the way you expected it, eliminating the time, fretting over it, upset, just moving on to the next thing, trying to get better. Communication is a big thing. I think ever since I've been young, and it's, been tied to work and just outside of work. But I think he's been fantastic at just building and maintaining relationships.
Right.
Which even before we started recording, you were talking about the, importance of having connections, having relationships.
Right.
A lot of people, whether it's business or in life, they can spark relationships, but how long does it last?
Right.
So seeing him from when I was younger, having conversations on the phone or in person with people, and now, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, still having conversations with the same people and more. I think I've learned a lot of lessons of, the importance of, and what keeps those relationships, just being a good friend, being honest,
right,
working to make the relationship healthy. And I think that it can apply to a ton of things, business and outside of it.
So Brian, what about you? I know you've had time to think for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, my relationship with my dad and things that I've learned, I've been working for him for 10 years.
Right.
And when I started working, he really sold it to me. You can take it as far as you want, you know? So really the big thing that, thinking about my dad, what I learned from him is that, it's hard. Life is hard. Running a business is hard, and a lot of times, sort of the work's never done. You can always improve and always, get better and do it better, and he always stayed himself, so that's something that I really, I've been fortunate to, sort of see from him, because we've grown, we've go through ups and downs, but he's sort of doing it his way, and he stayed, himself. So it's been it's helped me, because I'm going through a lot of things that he went through with the business, and, just sort of just believing in myself and staying true to myself, and, just always remember that, hey, if, no one else is going to do it, it's going to be you, so
Right.
put in that time, and, it's necessary. It has to be there. You can't just roll through, being in a family business. You can't just assume that you're safe or the business is safe. So
Right.
you need to really put in the time.
A lot of folks think that building a custom home is a complicated and arduous process. It doesn't have to be. At Stanley Martin Custom Homes, we have the process down to a science. We will bring you through the buying, design, and building phase one step at a time. Head on over to webuildonyourlot.com and check us out. Reach out to us if you want to get started on the path to your very own Stanley Martin custom home. Episode 49, John Esposito. It's always interesting to hear the different responses to the question, what makes you get up in the morning? John Esposito, owner of Personal Touch Jewelers and founder of Bikes and Breakfasts, tells us what keeps him going.
I've got to tell you this. 1999, I met a gentleman. To back up, we rode, if you know what a Yamaha R1 is, it's an incredible, back in the day, it was the fastest bike. It was incredible. And I met this gentleman that made it's called an undertail enclosure. So you took away that plastic black fender and you put this under, it was made in France. You took this and it was painted, and it really finished off the back of the bike. Long story, he and I became very good friends. To the point where I went to Europe with him, and the motorcycle show in Europe is unbelievable. But to shorten this, he expressed to me, because he was making a lot of money, he expressed to me, I wake up to make money.
Yeah.
And John, I am not kidding you. I pondered this for 3.5 days. Why do I wake up? And I actually came up with that. I wake up to make people happy.
Yep.
When I make people happy, I'm happy.
Right.
So right. It's not that I'm so generous. I need it.
Yeah.
I need it for my personal life.
Yeah.
I need it for my business life. And of course, in my business life, I make people happy. I make a living.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are so many jewelers around that make so much more money than I do. Am I envious? Yeah, slightly. But I'm not willing to work that hard. I put my heart and soul in everything I make. I could never do $4 million a year that I hear,
Right.
Most of that is, I'm going to guess, is manufactured. When I worked for a manufacturer, gosh, I'd have an envelope. I was telling you about diamond hearts. I'd have 20 of those diamond hearts. When I opened the loose diamonds, my tray would be like a mountain of diamonds.
Yeah.
Where did they all go? They went to all the different stores in the country. Whereas, sure, they have a salesperson. They sell that item over and over and over. Whereas for me, I may make an item and I may not make it again.
Yeah, and that's why you call your store
Personal Touch.
There you go, John the Jeweler. Episode 52, Soraya Tamadan. How we organize and design our homes makes a huge impact on how we live our everyday lives. In this clip, Soraya Tamadan, owner of Design and Staging Group, tells us an interesting story about her most difficult client, an 8-year-old boy named Jack.
In my career, only one person has made me real nervous in interior design, and it's this 8-year-old Jack. I was nervous to do his room.
Right.
So one day when he went to school, we did the installation.
Right.
He comes back. I wanted to see his reaction. he says nothing, and he goes around his room, touches different surfaces, and looks at things. And he was very, quiet. So I went home, and then tomorrow morning, his mom called me, and she said, Soraya, for the first time in his life, Jack made his bed, put everything back how you had it. So he enjoys the organized room. And for me, that was a fantastic achievement, because I feel like I changed this boy's life when it comes to order and how he has to keep his room. He was so impressed, and he was so comfortable in his room that he want to keep it the same way. So that was one of the great things, and that's a story I tell my clients, how order and a good design can affect people in the house. It affects your mood, it affects how you relax in the house, and ultimately it affects your relationships in the house. When you're proud of your home, you invite people more, so it changes your social life. So it should not be taken lightly.
Episode 53, Rob Moore. Here's a story that's both funny and heartwarming. Rob Moore, Vice President of Operations at Beltway Pools, tells us the story of summer days at the pool and how he met his future wife.
I'll give you a 2-for-1 special here. So,
okay,
I'll let you know a funny pool story, and also let you know how I met my wife at the same time.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, I worked commercial pools for 10 years.
Okay.
And with commercial pools, you are getting a lot of companies are getting lifeguards from Eastern Europe primarily, that come over and work on a J1 work and travel visa through the State Department.
Sure.
That's depleted a lot in the last couple of years, which has made commercial pools struggle a lot as well. But anyways, so back in 2009, I met what would be my wife. She's from Ukraine. And she came over and worked. She worked at this pool in Alexandria for about 3 years. She eventually became the pool manager there. So I was her supervisor. So, we met on very unprofessional circumstances. But anyway, I got a phone call one day from a kid that was probably 14, 15. He was a patron of the pool. And he said, hey, your lifeguard called me a douchebag. And there was 2 guards at this pool, so I had a 50-50 chance. It was the girl I was dating. So I was like, okay. I said, what did she look like? He described exactly my wife. And I was like, great. So I'm going to be stuck between the company I'm working with and the girl I'm dating. So not a good position to be in. So I gave her a call, and I said, first I was kind of impressed, like she's still learning English, that's a pretty advanced word. So I end up calling her on the phone, and I said, hey, I just got a call here. Did you call a kid a douchebag? He goes, I absolutely did. He was being one. And I said, you can't do that. She goes, why not? That was the truth. I was like, that's not how it works here. I said, what was he doing? She said he was taking all the kids' toys in the pool, and the parents were complaining. So I said, hey, douchebag, get out of my pool. You're done. I took his pool pass, and he's not coming back. And I was like, you're going to create a big problem for me here. Their parents are going to call. He's a minor. This is going to get out of hand. So anyway, about a day later, I get a phone call from a random number, and I answer it, and it's the father of this kid. And I'm just slapping myself in the forehead going, here we go. And he said, hey, my child came home and said that your lifeguard called my son a douchebag. And I was like, yeah, I heard about that. I said, I am very sorry, sir. I said, I apologize. They are from Eastern Europe. The culture's different. They're learning stuff here. That's part of the program. I've handled it. And he goes, no. He said, I don't want you to apologize. He said, my kid's always a douchebag. And he said, I wanted to go over there and commend her for doing that because he needs to learn a lesson.
Right.
And, I was like, man, there's still parents around that, are teaching their kids discipline.
Right.
So, it ended up working out in the end. But,
that is funny.
Very nervous situation at the time. So,
yeah, fantastic. So that is that is great. So how long have you been married?
It'll be 12 years this September.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Episode 56, Sam Wolbert. Ever wonder why the chicken crossed the road? Sam Wolbert, President and CEO of the Animal Welfare League of Arlington, has the answer for you, and it's not what you expect. What kind of things may you come across in your daily rounds?
Yeah, so the animal control team is always in the community, and part of being in the community in Arlington County is that you see a lot of interesting things. One example was this past January. You've heard kind of the story of why did the chicken cross the road? Well, in this instant, the chicken crossed the road to get to the Pentagon. We were called in by Pentagon officials because there was a chicken wandering around their security checkpoint. We don't know how it got there. What is a chicken doing running around the Pentagon? We never found that out, but we were able to go in and assist. We brought the chicken back to the shelter. It hung out with us. No one came to kind of claim it, so it became our chicken and wound up being adopted by one of the animal control officers that was originally on the scene. But in the meantime, we put something out on social media. And you never know how these stories are going to play out, but this one just blew up. It got picked up by news not only across the country but around the world, as far as England and India, and even went so far to be featured on the Jimmy Fallon show. He wrote a song about this, the chicken crossing the road to get to the Pentagon. So it's stories like that just on a given day, you never know what you're going to come across.
Well, and that makes life fun. Episode 57, Lillian Jorgenson. It's always a treat to have my mom, Lillian Jorgenson, on the show. This year, my mom came on the show a few times to chat about the real estate process as well as her view of the real estate industry at large. We also get to catch up a little, which is a great added bonus. In this clip, Lillian chats about our family trip this past year to Denmark, where she was born, to celebrate a momentous occasion. So let's talk about something really exciting.
Well, that would be our trip to Denmark.
Yes, so you just went back to Denmark, and we were lucky enough to be able to go with you, and you got remarried for your 60th wedding anniversary.
Right. And everyone should have their children and grandchildren at their wedding, right?
At their at their first wedding, I'm not sure. That would be something to talk about. But
that was a little omen, yes.
Yeah.
So for years, my husband had been saying, well, when we get to 60 years, we should go back to Denmark and get married again. We were married in Denmark in March of 1962, and in my little hometown of Kolding. And of course, I was saying, yes, of course, yeah, and you go on with your daily lives. Well, here it is, this year, 2022, and we reached our 60 years in March. And so we did, in fact, decide to go back to Denmark, and we were lucky enough to be able to make an appointment with the priest who baptized my 15-year-old grandson, who unfortunately couldn't make it. My daughter could not make it. And also my brother and sister-in-law were married in that same charming little church in Copenhagen. So we did go back, and we had a wonderful 10 days in Denmark, and John and his family went, and I think we all had a really fun time.
It was a lot of fun. Yep.
A lot of fun.
Episode 62, Mauricio Trigo. The Go With John show offers some truly excellent opportunities for people to share their story, and there's no better example than Mauricio Trigo, CEO of Infinity Limo Car Service. From legal immigrant to CEO, this is an inspiring story for anyone and everyone. So Mauricio, so tell me, where in Bolivia did you come from?
I came from a town called Cochabamba.
Cochabamba. And then when you came to the U.S., you came to Washington, D.C., and you are living the American dream.
I am. I'm definitely am. I think that I experienced everything of the American dream, which is, work very hard for your dreams and achieve them.
Yeah.
Succeed, but also fail.
Yes.
And able to build my company again from zero back to where we are now.
And I think really you beat me to the punch, and I didn't want to interrupt your story, but when you were speaking about leaving your company to go start your own company, and the manager asked you to continue to drive for him, that was because you had integrity and you were honest. He would not have wanted you to continue to service his clients with you as a competitor if you didn't have honesty and integrity as part of your core values. So, and I think it's the same with the last story you just told about the government official that has made a lot of introductions for you. He could sense that you were an honest person, and he trusted you. I don't know if it was a he or a she. I'm making an assumption, but the stories that you've told. I mean, you went to school, you learned how to speak English, you went to work, you learned how to wash the cars, you learned how to process the credit card statements, you worked in the industry, you learned everything about the industry inside and out and upside and down. You had a mentor in your first company that you worked for that was willing to let you drive a car so you could learn how to start driving around. And you had a very intelligent mentor who said, hey, learn how to drive from the airport to here and here to the airport. And you were in the right place. You had the right people around you, but you did the work. And the hardest thing that you had to do, and it's funny, our team, we just had a meeting on Monday. I had to survive, in business, the aftermath of 9/11, and we're going through challenges right now in the real estate industry, and you went through some really difficult challenges when COVID hit. But it makes you stronger, it makes you better, and you're here. And probably many of your competitors went out of business. So when you had the fortitude and the wherewithal to fight your way through it and to go out and dig ditches and get up on roofs and put solar panels on to pay your bills to keep your business alive, it paid off.
Yes. Yeah. I believe it did. And, we've been very blessed that we were able to come back from all this, because it was a really tough time.
Yeah.
But with perseverance, hard work, it paid off now. And now it's not like we don't have challenges. And I think we were talking off mic before about the challenges of finding workforce, right? So
right, absolutely.
So, and this is something that we still working on. And right now it's incredible, because when we interview someone for a position, we will kind of listen to the person and see if he's fit for the company.
Right.
But now it's kind of the opposite. We need to show the person that our company fits their needs. So it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
And it's another challenge that we have.
Yeah.
And as we grow and we acquire more vehicles, we also need to find the right people to work with us. So it's gonna be a challenge, and but we know that we're gonna succeed at the end.
Episode 63, Nancy Wilson. This year, we got the chance to sit down with some very successful realtors in the industry to chat about everything real estate. Something all realtors talk about is work-life balance, and Nancy Wilson has a story I love having to do just with that. So I remember one time I called you, and you were driving in the car, and tell me what, because that is one of the most memorable interactions I've ever had with you, and for some reason it just stuck with me. So I called you, we're talking, and what happened?
You called me, and I always say I don't answer phone calls in my car when I have passengers, but I knew it was you, and I was like, okay, it can't be too private of a conversation.
Right.
So I think I was driving my kids to school, preschool, and I answered the phone, and you were asking me something, and I think the kid in the back seat started crying, and I was like, John, just a second, and I thought I muted you,
right,
or me, but clearly I didn't mute it. And I said to the kid, listen, I know you're sad. I know you're crying. I know you're upset, but please, can you just cry quietly
Yes.
so I can finish this call, and then I'll drop you off at school.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know you need to cry, but you need to cry quietly.
Which is now why I can't take calls with people in the car. I've tried to do it.
Yeah.
And then I get a kid sniffling or I get somebody coughing. I'm like, oh, they can't know what somebody else is in the car.
And you know what? People don't realize, though, when you're having a conversation about real estate with the client, your brain is all in. Like, you don't need that distraction. And in fact, sometimes those distractions happen and you don't even realize they're happening because you're so focused on the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, this has been a year of ups and downs for everyone. I hope and imagine these best of episodes are an opportunity to look back on some of the impactful, interesting, or just plain funny moments that happen every year. This year on the Go with John show, we talk to a lot of great people and appreciate everyone who's come on the show. I've also recorded a few solo episodes, including an episode chatting about my experience living in an RV during the pandemic. Whatever next year brings, thank you from everyone on the Go with John show team for listening, sharing, and being a part of this journey with us. I'm John Jorgenson, and I hope you can get out there and build something extraordinary.